A very, very beautiful evening to you. You're welcome to Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. And of course, on today's edition of the show, we're bringing you some exciting stories revolving around the beautiful waters. But of course, you know, it is the UEFA Champions League nights. And of course, we're going to be taking a look at some of the interesting fixtures, you know, in tonight's UEFA Champions League. We'll also take a look at tennis, a lot, of course, you know, that particular side, and not forgetting the African Cup of Nations. Team Nigeria, how prepared they are. We'll take a look at that, of course, when we return from this break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. You're welcome back as the Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. And of course, we're very much ready this evening to bring you the latest revolving around the beautiful water sports. And joining me this evening is Ekpo Temple. Good evening to you and welcome to the show once again.
It's a beautiful evening. So glad to be here.
Let's, of course, start the show with tennis this evening as Arina Sabalenka says a controversial battle for the sexes as tie match against the Kyrgios will not damage women's sport. Sabalenka, the women's world #1 and four-time major champion, faces 2022 Wimbledon runner-up the Kyrgios in an exhibition match on 28th of December. Some people sees it as harmless entertainment between two high-profile players, but others believe it could belittle the women's game if Sabalenka loses. What do you make of this narrative around this particular one?
It all depends. It all depends. A lot. When things like this happen, you just bear in mind that it's not the first time it's happening. Neither will it be the last. The only thing is, for Aina, and she has to be up and doing. She's world number one, and a lot of expectations around her. It's a new season that just ended. Preparation for the new season coming up next year. So, I mean, for me, these are point of distraction too. It's good. I don't know how she's going to model all of this, but the WTA, you know, whatever they're saying, it's only boils down to the lady herself, what she wants to do with herself come next season.
The issue here is about, the sexist competition where Arina Sabalenka will be facing Nikiris, in this particular one. Some persons are saying a woman playing against a man at this point in time, that if she loses, that it might belittle women's, tennis. Do you, abide to that narrative?
That's what I said. I mean, it's just distraction. We have seen it before. It's not the first time. When Serena Williams was in top form, we have seen her play. Though those ones are not counted as real games. They were not counted as real. They were just like exhibition. But it happens. It happens. If anything gets, what if the reverse is the case? What if Arina Sabalenka gets to win Gricos? The game of tennis is not about gender. It's about who plays better on the field. Yes, maybe they're used to playing two-setter in Grand Slams as compared to the men who play four-setters. But you will also always know that anything can happen because Arina Sabalenka is a very fine player. Nigrikos is also a good player, but not at the very best. So I don't think that it's just fun getting to see me play against themselves and all that. It doesn't diminish the value of the gender. And I don't want people to, I don't like the fact that people are not making it look like a gender thing. It's just for the fun of the game.
The conversation is getting very high because this is a Nikiris who has not been very competitive. I think if you take a look at his ranking now, he's out of the top 100, possibly out of the top 200, at this point in time. Playing against what played a competitive game for a very long time, beating of the opinion that it might actually degrade, female tennis at this point in time, looking at the fact that a player who is rusty, who is not even on the very best of form, beats what number one, in tennis, in the female tennis.
But exception. It does not water down the effort of what the ladies are doing in female tennis. Like I said, it might be very good, and the strength of a woman. I don't also want, like I've said it, I don't want to make and then if he gets to win against Arina Sabalenka, to be said, it's just one of those exhibition games. A lot of people will think that more would have been expected. Okay, maybe she gets to play against the likes of Iga Swiatek. Maybe he gets to play against Koriko Gogov. Maybe we'll see something different. But I think that Arina Sabalenka That's my own point. It did not water down the effort and the image of the WTA because I mean, at no time we didn't meet. But the thing is, the Greekos and then she ended the year as world number one. Yes, you want. I think that she had a fantastic season, even if at some point she lost it all. But you can't win all the game. I just feel that
Lenka going forward in our
that game is going to be very important for them to see how far they can get a win at home. Um, that maybe from now till before we leave the studio, I will be able to track that result and maybe
Yeah, welcome back as the Sport Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network, and of course, we'll be bringing you the latest revolving around the beautiful world of sports. And it's time for we to, of course, take a look at the Nigerian Women Football League. We already told you that Queen Pistas Queen, of course, Pistas Queen are on against Rivers Angels, and the likes of Adamawa Queens are also on against Ibom Angels, Ikutu Queens against Edo Queens. Nigeria Twos against Bayelsa Queens as well. And in Group B, we have the likes of FC Robo Queens against Delta Queens and Confluence Queens, Lucky Nose against Remo Stars Ladies, Abia Angels against Oshun Babes, and Do Your Name against Nasra Amazion. So we look forward to see how the results from these games, of course, will unfold. But away from that, it's time to talk about the Super Eagles of Nigeria, as we hear that a top official of the Nigerian Football Federation has revealed that Super Eagles coach Eric Chell will be paid his outstanding salaries as soon as the country prepares for the 2025 African Cup of Nations in Morocco. Chell was reported to be owed 3 months' salary and bonuses by the NFF ahead of the tournament, which will be played from December 21 to January 18, 2026. Nigeria the 23 other sides are allowed to select up to 8 players for the 2025 finals, with Chelsea's list expected between today and tomorrow. The deadline for naming squad is Thursday, December 11, and the mandatory release date for the clubs to make players available is Monday, December 15. So we hear that the Nigerian Football Federation, they've agreed to, of course, clear the standing salary of Eric Chell before the African Cup of Nations.
It's not embarrassing. It's not embarrassing that at this point that we are preparing for African Cup, distractions like this are coming in. The reason why we did not hear about it is because Eric Chell decided to be very professional with it. Nipped it to the board, did not want to disclose it because he felt that, come on, he can handle it with the employer. I asked myself, what would a man do? A man who has family, a man too who also have other associates working with him, backroom staff. It doesn't make sense at all in any dimension. I think that the NFF truly have not really done very well. Some of their actions make us think that they are inadvertently, causing us more pain than good, because it doesn't tell well. So all through the qualifiers he was being owed, and then he's going to a major tournament. Yeah, I'm sure this has been leaked somewhere. Otherwise, nobody will know about it. So very unfortunate that this is coming out at this point in time, and I think that is a wake-up call for the NFF. I'm sure that the NSC has come into this one. That's why we're going to see a headway to this. Otherwise, I'm not sure the NFF do have the money to even pay. But like they said before, they said they are going to pay the money up front. Maybe we'll get to see how it goes, but this is not the kind of stuff we want to be hearing now. We want to hear about Super Eagles players' progress and how they're preparing for the AFCON. That's what we want to hear.
And talking about the National Sport Commission weighing in this one, is it supposed to be the National Sport Commission paying the Super Eagles coach or the Nigerian Football Federation?
It is the Nigerian Football Federation, but you see, they have exclusive rights. The National Sports Commission have exclusive right to bail any federation when in times like this. The appropriation bill, is giving the entirety of the appropriation bill is for the National Sports Commission to say, okay, the money allocated for sports is like this. Then they will now say, okay, this federations take this, share this, and just allocate it. If for as time goes on, if a particular federation has finished their funding and there is need for a particular purpose, don't forget that when they wanted to hire an outsider, they did not have the money. It was NSC who took the group by the horn to say, okay, we are going to pay for the coach of the Super Eagles. So that's what they promised, and that's what they're going to do. So I think that's why the NFF is maybe a little bit reluctant to say, okay, there's a promise from the NLC that they will pay for the Super Eagles coach. Just maybe, but I think that yes, is the employers, they are, of course, the man from the glass house, so, but nothing stopping in times of crisis like this. If there is no finance to cater for some of these things, they always go back to the NSC to say, come, please bail us out because of this, and I think so.
Erichel, of course, is expected to release his 28-man list for the AFCON either today or tomorrow. What are your expectations?
I'm not expecting much. Bogus list. Nobody does anything with 54 names. Nobody. I'm sure they're doing a lot of cutting and slicing behind the scene right now. The average guys, maybe one or two surprises, just maybe. Mwabali is injured. If anything that it's coming from South Africa is anything to go by, then we might get to see him be part of the squad, but maybe not timely to allow him heal. I still think that the three goalkeepers will be there. I think that we're going to see a surprise in the defensive framework of the setup. Maybe some likely names, okay, but the regular names will be there. I think that almost every player that was invited for the World Cup qualification might just play. One or two big names might be part of it, who have been there before now, just to spice up the team with experience. So I'm not really expecting much. But we want to see the list so that we know the people that we're working with at this point. 28, we take it down to 25, where it's all boils down to what they want to do. But for me, get us the list, let's see the list, and let's start playing the players to expect at the AFCON.
Mwabali, of course, like you mentioned, injured, and just like we've heard from the coach, he might not, of course, be at the African Cup of Nations. Maduka Okoye, of course, is another man everybody is looking at for at this point in time. Do you think Maduka Okoye in between the stick for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, you think, of course, it will be a good one for the Super Eagles in the AFCON?
I think that the greatest of them would be not to see Mwabali not play. That would be very painful because Mwabali has really done a lot, and he does merit to be part of the traveling, contingent to African Cup of Nations. But if injury rules him out, automatically you get to see the second goalkeeper, which is Maduka Okoye. Okoye has been fantastic for the Udinese side, so you cannot take that away from him too. But one thing very outstanding is that has it developed the maturity to face, the crowd in AFCON? It's another question altogether that we need to ask at this point. But that's why we have three goalkeepers in the team, best of the goalkeepers, from across the diaspora. So if Mwabali is out, then Okoye should be ready, and I'm sure that he's already smiling because the club has already allowed him to move. So he should be coming to Nigeria this week because it's not about the FIFA deadline. So maybe it's good for Nigeria, but I still think that Mwabali will be part of the traveling contingent.
All right, let's see how it goes. We'll look forward to see what comes up. Erichel is expected to release the 28-man list today or tomorrow. So a lot of tension on ground at this point in time as it concerns the camp of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. What would that list, of course, look like? Who are we going to see down there? Of course, this is a crucial tournament for Erichel. He has to at least, get down to the semi-final, to keep his job, at this point in time. That's the target set by the Nigerian Football Federation. With what you're seeing now, tension on ground and all of that, Erichel, do you think he will meet his targets, taking the Super Eagles to the semi-final of the AFCON?
Man, the AFCON is, everyone wants to get to that place. Morocco made a very big mistake last time after playing so well in the World Cup. They came back last year, they couldn't do the needful. They are still pained, and they want to get, they're hosting, they want to at least get to win it. Some of the big names, countries will also want to show class. Almost all the teams that have qualified for the World Cup, they also want to prove that, come on, they didn't just achieve that, on a platter, but they have to fight for it. So, you see, a lot will be at stake for Nigeria. But first thing first is qualify from your group. When you qualify from your group, there's a tendency that a lot of things will happen in the group stages too. Then you can think about that. So I think our first, although history has shown that when it comes to qualifying from the group, we don't have a problem. No surprise why we have the highest bronze medal, we have the highest silver medals, but we need to be up and doing. We need to be up and doing. We need to show class. I think that Erichel is not distracted by this. Erichel is very ambitious. I've seen the coaches who are ambitious. Erichel is one of them because you see the way he goes about his game. The only problem we have is, can he manage his players? If he can do half of what he did at the World Cup, the last period when he came in, maybe we'll get to, because arguably, you think that Nigeria has a very strong defense. If we put the guys and the guys live up to expectation, maybe I'll lie in now, yes, out of it, but I just think that if we have a good defensive framework and good scoring machines, I don't think we're going to have a problem. But the problem is, no matter how you defend, if you cannot get those balls back of the net of the other opponents, it can be challenging. So Eric needs to work on the scoring. Midfield is understandable, anything can happen. But still defense and attack, that can be very decisive in our games. But I feel that if we qualify in the first, from the group stage, from that point we can start looking at anything.
All right, let's see how it goes for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We hope, we wish Eric Chell the very best in this particular one. A crucial one it is for him indeed, and we'll see if he can meet up that target being set by the Nigerian Football Federation. But it's time to bring you UEFA Champions League. Yesterday we saw some exciting results as Monaco, of course, beats Galatasaray 1-0 in that particular one. We just have yesterday we had match day 6. Of course, we have about 2 games, to end this round off for the games. And if you take a look at it, courtesy of that win, Monaco are now seated, 18th on the Champions League table, while Galatasaray, of course, are seated, 17th. So more like a KG, encounter down there. Let's talk about Victor Osimhen. Galatasaray have some couple of impressive players, Gundogan, Sani. You talk about Osimhen, of course, himself. You think Galatasaray, can, of course, head down to the next round of the competition, looking at how they've really invested, in the team so far?
I think so. But it will be very dicey, it's not just about the first 8 or 9 that qualifies. It's about the pairing too, for the sub-qualification. So I think that Galatasaray can do that. But 6 games played for them. They've won those 3 of those games. It's not good enough. But then you also look at the standing and ask yourself, they still have at least more games to play. That will be very decisive come next year. But for me, I think that yesterday's game, they had all it takes to hold that game, at least get a point in that encounter. Them losing that game, I didn't expect it because they have good players who are experienced, whose experience should have been questioned. Unfortunately, they were just playing like nothing was at stake. I don't know why they fought when they play big names, but they started brilliantly this season, got a win against Liverpool. But then you ask yourself that, come on, this is football. For me, at that position, maybe dicey to clunge back, at the top, but you can never say anything. It's if they get to win their next game, but then you ask yourself, the next game, how far can they go to? All of these are permutations, but then I still believe that with the squad depth that they have, they should be playing very well in Europe. Unfortunately, that's not the case sometimes.
Yesterday, of course, we saw Atalanta putting up another impressive performance in the UEFA Champions League. They're not doing bad at all. After beating Chelsea yesterday 2-1, they're somewhere third, of course, on the table with about 13 points, as it stands. Ademola Lookman and Atalanta side, how far do you see them go? They've been impressive in the Champions League. Yeah,
Rafael Palladino has been very good. He's the manager of the side since he came in. I think he has really changed the narrative. Like he said, they are seated that anytime they play at Bergamo, it's always easy for them to pick those maximum points because they have a lot going for them at the Giwi Stadium. And I think that game yesterday, Chelsea started brilliantly. He scored got a goal from Joao Pedro. Unfortunately, they couldn't hold it, and that's been the problem of Chelsea. Chelsea started a very good advantage to have won that game yesterday. But then, if you look at the way Palladino plays his game, you know that this is one man who you can easily not predict, And then we saw how they came to the party and they restored that parity, got to win that game. I think that Chelsea cost themselves that loss because Atlanta were not at their very best yesterday, but they played a strong game. They had there's this fluidity among them. They had their understanding. They played more like a team as compared to Chelsea, who were a little bit inconsistent in their style of play. But then I still think that when you play at home, the fans are for you, and that energy when they restored the parity really gave them the edge to get to win that game.
You just mentioned, of course, Chelsea being inconsistent and now 11th, of course, on the table with 10 points. Can they, of course, do automatic qualification in this round?
It's difficult to really see the wounds. If we can still give hope for teams like Galatasaray, I don't think that Chelsea is done and dusted. They've played 6 games, 1-3. Yes, but then you cannot throw them out right now. I still think that if they do the needful, they can still pick maximum point. The only expectation now is you have to battle. Every game now is a struggle for them. Unlike Arsenal, unlike Bayern, you know, every game for them is a struggle, and that struggle can be very dicey. You know, when you play your opponent, because you want to win more games now, especially playing away from home. So, but I think that qualification, yes, is still very possible because they have other teams below them. So, who says that they cannot get at least to the 8th position? Depend on the future results.
Let's see how it go. But yesterday it was Barcelona who, of course, you know, tried to win against Eintracht Frankfurt 2-1. It didn't in that particular encounter, and it was very lovely. Jules Koundé, of course, scored twice in that encounter to help Barcelona to take up all 3 points in that encounter. But one man was very instrumental. So many persons, you know, some persons are not talking about, you know, that brilliant performance yesterday we saw, you know, from Marcus Rashford. He was very, very instrumental for that success success we saw for FC Barcelona. He actually gave assists, you know, down there. What do you make of the brilliant performance of Marcus Rashford so far down there at FC Barcelona?
Yeah, I think that since he came in, he's been a very good player, trying to blend with the young lads like Lamine Yamal, Rafinha. We saw him also the other day. He has been very good in terms of assisting, scoring. So if he does not score, he has done some assisting work there. And I think that we need to really appreciate the effort, you know, that this young man comes with. It shows that Coman is a team player. If he must not always score, but he can be part of that side. Bata came, you know, from the back foot to get him to win that particular one. And I think I blame Eintracht Frankfurt. And that's why their woes continue. Look at where they are pegged, you know, understanding. It tells that a lot is not going well for them when it comes to the Champions League.
Yesterday we saw Atletico Madrid as well. They had a very impressive performance to say against PSV, and then 3 goals to 2 down there. Let's of course take a look at other results as well. We saw yesterday the likes of Liverpool. They beat Inter Milan 1-0 down. The Inter Milan, of course, were at home in that particular encounter. We saw Tottenham Hotspur beating Slava Prague by 3-0 as well yesterday in that one. The likes of Olympiacos beat Kartamati 1-0, and of course was a very, very lovely victory for them. Udon St. Cloud, they lost to Marseille by 3-2 down there. Let's quickly move on now as we take a look at, you know, some of the fixtures we'll be expecting tonight. It's going to be Real Madrid against Manchester City. I don't know what you make of this fixture. A lot at stake, you know, for both sides. Pep Guardiola looking forward to, of course, continue to, you know, improve his side. Xabi Alonso at the verge of being sacked at this point if he doesn't get a win, you know, in this encounter.
This is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Can he win? Well, we'll get to see. And I think that with the way the Real Madrid is set up, it's not about the players not playing very well. It's about the fact that there is no mental toughness, you know. He was brought into the side to reignite the side, to energize them, to push them beyond limit. Unfortunately, he himself is now, you know, is not getting that what he brought in. What we saw with Leverkusen side, maybe because they were young lads and they're challenging the status quo. We are not seeing them challenge for, you know, majors, and I think that has really affected him. Also, having internal issues, divided, you know, dressing room can also be very affecting. But these are games that we get to see, you know, teams like Real Madrid come to party, but can they stand a very formidable Manchester City side who are in form right now? We've seen how they've been winning almost all their games with high goal margin. Is one thing that really baffles me, and I just can't wait to see how far this game goes tonight.
We're going to see Karabakh against Ajax as well tonight. There's going to be Villarreal against Copenhagen. Athletic Club will lock on against Paris Saint-Germain, and we'll see Bayer Leverkusen against Newcastle United tonight as well. Benfica will be national against Napoli. Borussia Dortmund will be national against Bodo Glimt. It's going to be Club Brugge against Arsenal Football Club. After losing over the weekend against Aston Villa, do you see Mikel Arteta's side looking at the injury worries, getting the win tonight against Club Brugge?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I believe that for Club Brugge, Arsenal, they are not in a very good run right now. They've had the last 5 games has not been very rosy as expected. But that's why teams have ups and downs. But the ability for the coach and the side to pick up from their pieces. And I think the biggest discouragement right now is the fact that they lost against Aston Villa, away from home, and that can be very damaging. They will travel again to Belgium to play Club Brugge, one of the best sides in that side. So, I mean, the dynamics of playing away from home, and they are the best side when it comes to the Champions League. They are yet to lose a game. So you see, Arsenal, they are in the middle of it, but will they allow themselves to be caught up? I just hope to see how far all of this will go.
Let's see how far Arsenal can go against Club Brugge. A stubborn side in the UEFA Champions League, of course, you will say at this point. We're going to see Juventus against Pafos as well. Those are the fixtures we'll be expecting tonight in the UEFA Champions League. Promises to be another exciting night in the UEFA Champions League. We're going to call it a wrap at this point, which is thank you Temple for doing justice on the show this evening. We'll be back tomorrow by 7 a.m. to bring you the results, of course, from the UEFA Champions League games tonight. You can go down to our different social media handle, Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. The conversation, of course, continues right there. My name is Kingsley Manuel. Thanks for watching.
No, Caesar. No. Crossy. Yeah. But the ranking. No debiting for my account. Money go the enter necessity for now. No debiting for my account. Pounds and dollars go the flip up and down. Only credit alert. No debit alert. Hope you understand. Only credit alert for BJF bank. No debiting for my account. No debiting for my account. Pounds go the enter necessity for now. No debiting for my account. Pounds and dollars go the flip up and down. Only credit alert. No debit alert. Hope you understand. Only credit alert for BJF bank. No debiting for my account. Baba God, make the money double. Make the money double. Cause I want to give away for my people. Give away for my people. Helicopter, carry me go to my destiny. Hallelujah, Holy Father, credit my hazard. Helicopter, carry me go to Cubana Coma. Hallelujah, Holy Father, credit my hazard. No debiting for my account. Money go dey enter necessity for mouth. No debiting for my account. Pounds and dollars go dey flip up and down. Only credit alert. No debit alert. Hope you understand. Only credit alert for BJF bank. No debiting for my account.
$20 billion for my baby. When money no dey, now she dey hold me down. Pounds and dollars motivate me. Bully up man, I use they run this town. No matter the place and time, Oluwa show me the grace and sign. Poverty no waste of time. Odogu money make you no waste my time. Oh Father,